So let's take a look at the KeepAlive built-in view component. KeepAlive is a built-in component that allows us to conditionally cache component instances when dynamically switching between multiple components. Alright, so it's a component for caching components, view components. Basic usage. In the component basics chapter, we introduce the syntax for dynamic components using the component special element. Indeed. Well, that means this component is of type active component, and this could be the name of any component that we have in our code base, like my fancy list or whatever. By default, an active component instance will be unmounted when switched away from. This will cause any change state it holds to be lost. In the example below, we have two stateful components. A contains a counter, while B contains a message synced with an input via vModel. Tria update the state of one of them, switch away, and then switch back to it. So we are in A, we switch to B, we write hello, and then we switch to A, and this is reset, and we switch to B, and this is empty again. You'll notice that when switched back, the previous changed state would have been reset. Creating fresh component instance on switch is normally useful behavior. But in this case, we'd really like the two component instances to be preserved even when they are inactive. To solve this problem, we can wrap our dynamic component with a KeepAlive built-in component. And now the state will be persisted across component switches. Well, I mean, sure, I believe it, but let's test it. Yeah. And that's the only thing we did, is wrap the component with a KeepAlive. That's the only thing. And this works for, again, dynamically switching between multiple components, for the case where we have this, apparently. And here it says, when using DOM template, we need to use this version, not the Pascal case, but the kebab case. Include, exclude. By default, KeepAlive will cache any component instance inside. We can customize this behavior via the include and exclude props. Both props can be comma delimited string, a regexp, or an array containing either types. We have KeepAlive include a comma b, or we bind this include property and we give it a regular expression, which is basically telling us include A or B, and then we can bind this include property and have an array of values, which would be in this case equivalent to this. The match is checked against the component's name option. So components that need to be conditionally cached by KeepAlive must explicitly declare a name option. Max cache instances. We can limit the maximum number of component instances that can be cached via the max prop. When max is specified, KeepAlive behaves like a LRU cache, which I have no idea what it is. LRU, least recently used. Discards the least recently used items first. Okay, so it's like a queue, not like a stack. First to come in lives first. If the number of cache instances is about to exceed the specified max count, the least recently accessed cache instance will be destroyed to make room for a new one. Well, it's not really like a queue, because it's kind of like a queue, in the sense that the queue is made by the accessed component. So if a component is accessed, it will go to the top of the queue. Anyway, I'm overcomplicating this. It's what it says here. The least recently accessed cache instance will be destroyed to make room for the new one. And it's just like this. Really easy. Life cycle of cache instance. When a component instance is removed from the DOM but is part of a component tree cached by KeepAlive, it goes into deactivated state instead of being unmounted. When a component instance is inserted into the DOM as part of the cache tree, it is activated. A KeepAlive component can register lifecycle hooks for these two states using onActivated and onDeactivated. Interesting. So this onActivated callback is called on initial mount, and also every time the component is reinserted from the cache. And this is also called, on the activate, this is also called when unmounted, but also when removed from the DOM into the cache. Very interesting. Note that on activated is also called on mount, and on deactivated on unmount. Both hooks work for not only the root component cached by KeepAlive, but also the descendant components in the cache tree. Which makes perfect sense, of course, because if we cache a component, any children of that component, any instances, any children instances of that component should be cached also. So far, so good for the KeepAlive. Pretty straightforward. Next is going to be the teleport for the next video.